This is what it is, okay? I said, empty your mind. Be formless, shapeless, like water. Now, you put water into a cup, it becomes the cup. You put water into a bottle, it becomes the bottle. You put it in a teapot, it becomes the teapot. Now, water can flow, or it can crash. Be water, my friend.
Welcome to the 46th episode of the Deployment Dojo. This is a live show where we introduce and discuss software installation topics using the WiX Toolset. I'm your host, Rob Mensching, and joining me once again is my very good friend and student of deployment, David Edson. David, how you doing, my man?
Pretty good.
All right. We left things kind of parked on the edge where it's like, something wasn't quite working. That's what we're going to pick right up. We're going to do that first and show that things do work. And then we're going to drill in a little bit farther into what we're talking about, which is named BindPaths, right?
Okay. Yep.
Right. So we're talking about BindPaths, different ways to find your files, shortcuts, a lot less typing, really cool features to search for your files on disk. And then at the end, I was trying to slip in name BindPaths and try to motivate them, and I didn't have everything in place. So the dev team in the Deployment Dojo has done some work behind the scenes. We're gonna have to catch up to their work. But first, let's finish what I was trying to show off last time, and then we'll jump in and motivate name BindPaths. All right?
Oh, all right.
All right, so let's get right into it. Okay, the thing that I was trying to demonstrate was that BindPaths are ordered. And so to do that, I added in the legal folder a console app1.exe, remember?
Right.
And during my builds, I was trying to figure out, wait, why is this not getting included in the MSI, right? Because we have another console app1 in our code in another folder where it gets built, namely into console app1, bin debug, there is console app1.exe, right?
Right.
Okay, you kind of remember this, and I was trying to show, hey, look, this doesn't work the way we expect it to in certain cases.
Yes,
all right, because of the order of BindPaths. All right, I'm going to use the command line to start with, just to get started. All right, to show that it does work. I think what happened last time was that I had a bunch of stuff left on my machine, and we weren't actually rebuilding when I thought we were. And so it wasn't working out because I just tried it before the show here and everything was working for me after I deleted everything. Like I cleaned the whole directory and everything. All right.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Also, you see there's this one pull request one commit ready to come down to us.
Right.
That means the dev team has done some work, and that's what we're going to absorb in today. Let's go ahead and jump into this. Okay. So I'm going to bring back this ginormous command line. Oop, there it was. That's it. All right. So let's look at this command line real quick. We have the build command, all of our WXS files. We're going to output it to this X directory. We're going to say our version is 0. We're going to pull in our extensions, which I have cleaned off, so we have to add those real quick before we do this command. Then we're going to say include our class library, because we're building a Wix lib that includes our stuff in it. And then we're going to include our Wixel file, because we need that. And then we start listing our BindPaths, right? So we go and reference the legal folder, which has our sponsors.txt in it and our fake console app1 in it, right?
Right.
And then we list the console app1, belt test forms, and Windows service bin debug, okay? So this is the order that it should search for them. So when it tries to find console app1, because it finds one illegal, we expect to find it there. Now, before I do this, I need to add our extensions real quick. Hopefully this works. Last time we did this on stream, it didn't. And then everything worked just fine off stream. Oh yes, I've been experimenting with the WiX, the WiX NuGet package feed. Remember way back in the beginning where you had to add a personal access token to get to it?
Right.
I've been doing some work there on WiX 5. So that's what this is saying. Hey, I can't get to this thing. It's fine. We're not going to remember that warning. But if we look in our .wix directory here, we will see that we have the extensions, and in the extensions directory, we have our 2 extensions. All right, we're set to go. Okay, back to our command line, which is back here. All right, I have now added my 2 extensions command line because I added them to the extension command, and we're ready to build. Ready?
All right. Yep.
Zoom, zoom. Nice and fast. Why is it fast? Because we don't run validation. Okay, I'm going to cheat real quick, and I want to look in Orca and make sure that things did what I think they did. All right, they did. So now I want to do the Dojo. Now my sandbox actually got all gummed up a couple days ago, and it wouldn't start. Restarting my machine brought it back, so hopefully it will just behave today. All right, okay, all of our windows open. We probably don't need the services pop up every time, do we? Maybe we'll remove that from our batch file. All right, ready to install?
Yep.
We built into the XXX directory. I've been building this b.msi because it's just straight from the command line, or faster from the command line, shorter names. Hey, we have an install, accept, install, do the thing. Our directory shows up back here. Our install is done. F5 up here. We look at our deployment Dojo test. All right, everything looks fine. And when I double click on console app 1, this app can't run on your PC. Why can't it run?
Because it's not an exe there.
Because it's not an exe. It's a text file. All right, so this is just something I wanted to show, and that, you know, does work. That when you're using BindPaths and you have files that have the same names in them, in your BindPaths, you can end up with, you know, undesirable behaviors there. All right.
All right.
So one way to fix this is, I'm going to delete the output directory. One way to fix this is to, can I just jump? No, I have to go back. Okay. Is to take this part and put it at the end in this case, right? Because now it'll find console app 1 in our build directory and then in our legal directory afterwards. Right. Okay. Or don't have the same file name in your install. If you do, be aware of it. And that's actually what we're going to talk about today. Okay. So
all right.
I'm going to do a real quick build here, and then we'll just open an Orca so you can see that the file is the correct size, because that'll be fast, and bring up the sandbox and all that good stuff. And you'll just trust me that now that the file name console app 1 is now, you know, 5K, right? It's actually an XC as opposed to a 1K text file.
Okay. Now you may have brought it up last time, but you didn't bring it up on the screen, so I didn't see what it said.
Yes,
in Orca.
I didn't show it. Like, do you want me to bring up the sandbox?
No, but that's fine.
Yes. All right.
The point was that the text file was real small, I guess, right?
Yes. Yes. If we do ls in legal and we look at console app 1.exe, it's 23.
Okay.
It is not 512 compared to console app 1 bin debug console app 1 exe. There, look, 512.
Gotcha.
Cool.
Yep, I trust it.
Yeah, we'll trust that the WiX Toolset didn't make a file size names that happen to match exactly the exe, but actually with the text file, no, none of that happened. All right, so I just wanted to verify that yes, it does work, because at the end of the last episode, it got all gummed up and things did not do the right stuff. All right. Right.
Yep.
Right. Okay. I have some things. What is this? Git status. Git, show me what's all out here. Good. Let's go ahead and get rid of these things. -R. I'm going to get rid of these things because we're done. We're done with this experiment. We're going to move on to actual work now. And comma legal comes up one. There we go. And we're nice and clean. Okay. Ready for today's episode to start?
Yep.
All right. Here we go. Indicado 2. Woo. Okay. First thing we're gonna do, we're gonna fetch pull, please. Look what we got. We got a native DLL. All right. So a native DLL, C++ code, not managed code. So far, all of the stuff that we've been doing has been managed code. So the dev team, in their infinite wisdom, has decided that we're gonna drop in a native DLL in here. Okay.
All right.
Our job is to deploy it. So let's get this into the project and talk about what happens when we bring in this native DLL, okay? Because we've been kind of with managed code being able to float around some things and kind of ignore some details that when you get to native code, you have to pay a little bit more attention to, which is what we're gonna talk about now. So, hello, Visual Studio. There we go. Let's bring up Visual Studio. You know what? I'm gonna do it here. Git start episode, where are we at, 46?
Yep.
Just because I'm faster. And we're gonna do Notepad the build.command here real quick, change it to 46, and we're going to do git commit -am start episode 46. BindPaths names for fun and profit. Profit. Cool?
Cool.
Boom. Sometimes the command line is just faster. Visual Studio. Okay. First thing we need to do is make sure that this project is in our solution. Oh, I saw it. I saw it right there at the end. I don't know if you saw it go by really fast, but if we look here, yep, there's our native DLL. Okay, so dev team did the right thing. They added it to our solution. All right. We can look at the code. The code does absolutely nothing. All right. This native DLL does nothing. When you guys pull down the deployment dojo repository off of GitHub, you will find a very, very uninteresting native DLL. All it does is it builds for us. All right.
All right.
All right. Cool. So let's create a package reference, or sorry, a project reference, so that we get that native DLL built before our setup. It's been a while since we added something. Remember this?
Yeah.
Yeah. From our package dependencies, check native DLL. Heatwave will do the work to say, yeah, cool. I will add that, update your project, and make sure that native DLL is built before you are. It also, as we saw, because it's added a project reference right here, native DLL, it's also adding BindPaths for us, which means we could just go in, add a new file, add a new item. I don't need much, just a source file, and we'll call this native DLL components. I spelled it right. Yes, cool. Never know. Component group ID equals, we'll call it that same thing. Directory goes into our install folder, right? Not
right.
Bodder folder, please. And then our file source equals native DLL1.dll. Oh, wow. That was a big miss. Swing and miss. There we go. All right. That's it, I think. Oh, component group. I put the file right in the component group. That doesn't make any sense. No, that's not right. Gotta put it in the component. There we go. Ah, that little green squiggly is quite helpful there. That saved me a mistake. Cool. I have now added this file to our world, and I'm now going to go to the package and include it in the component group ref. ID equals, ta-da, native components. Cool.
Cool.
We have included the DLL components. Let's go ahead and do a rebuild here and get a nice clean build. I want to look at the output as it goes by though. Oh, okay. Interesting. Okay. So I don't know if this is big enough. I hope it is. If not, I'll bring it up in another window. What we're keeping track of now is, look, we're now in the x86 directory. Okay, we're getting built into the x86 directory because we're getting native code in and platforms are starting to take effect. All right. So in the past, the managed code is like, yeah, I'll be whatever framework or whatever platform you want, because the managed code will be compiled when it's actually run on the user's machine, and it will be x86 or x64. That's why you'll see a lot of these projects are marked any CPU. They don't have any code that specifically says I target Intel or AMD architectures or ARM or any of those others, all right? But when you bring a native DLL in, it is built for a particular architecture. And that means now we have to pay very close attention to our architectures, okay?
All right.
Now, I want to notice something. This native DLL is building x64 by default. And if we go into our configuration manager, we can see what are we building. The built test package is x86, and you can see our dependency here, x64.
Right.
Right. Now, for whatever reason, they call it Win32 in native code. So if we're going to build an x86 package, we probably want to install the 32-bit code. Okay.
Right. Yep.
Okay. So now I'm going to do another rebuild here, and we're going to look at it. And for all of you that get to float around in managed code land, a lot of this stuff doesn't ever come up. You're just like, I don't know, I just put my stuff on the machine. It doesn't really matter. And then you're really lucky It's when you get into the native code that you really have to think about it. And the Windows installer always thinks in architecture. When you build a package, you build it for a particular platform. And we tend to pick x86 because the Windows installer will be like, oh, I could put an x86 package on x86, x64, and ARM, because it's like x86 will run anywhere because Windows on all those platforms has an emulator. Actually, it will emulate the x86 code and let it run on the chips correctly. I mean, that's crazy when you think about it. The chips do all the work. So anyway, x86 is kind of the, this will run anywhere kind of thing. So if we look at our build here, this is something to double check. Where's my native library? I've lost it in the output here. There it is, native DLL. Did it not get rebuilt? It got built to belt test debug. Yeah, C++ projects build really strange. You see here how it built all the way over here, where the other projects, console form app 1 built in bin debug, very common. And for whatever reason, the C++ guys build their stuff into next to the solution in the debug folder. Okay, let's just build this up, spin it up, and make sure that everything works. All right. Notice we didn't have to do a whole lot of work to get this special directory because those bind paths are automatically hooked up for us across those project references. Pretty handy, right?
Right. Yep.
Yeah. So that didn't happen in WiX 3, by the way, David. You had to do a lot more work. You'd have to know where things are placed. WiX 3 didn't do any of that stuff for you. You had to do it manually. So as we added projects, we'd go adding all bind paths and things like that. Would not be a whole lot of fun. All right, we're going to do an install here and make sure that we get our bin x86 debug enus belt test package installed. Whoops, I forgot there's a UI. I'm about ready to comment out the UI again. All right, there we go. Finish button. Deployment, Dojo test, and native DLL is there. Everything's good. Right?
Yep.
38K is probably about the right size. All right, cool. Now let's get to the requirement from the dev team. Okay.
All right.
We've been x86. We've been floating around because you can see we're in program files x86. The dev team is like, no. We want to move our project. We want to move our package to be 64-bit. We want to be in the 64-bit folder. 64-bit is the future. x86 is kind of the past, right? Everybody's building 64-bit. All right, so we're going to move from x86 to x64. We're going to change our package to be a 64-bit package, all right?
All right.
And in that package, we want to include the 64-bit DLL, okay? And we want to include the 32-bit DLL, but put it in the 32-bit directory. Does that make sense?
Yeah, okay.
Right. So it's complicated. So we're going to leave both we're going to install a 64-bit and a 32-bit native DLL. The idea being that for backwards compatibility for our customers, we're going to keep our native code in the directory where they look, all right? That's just what they need to do. Okay,
sure.
So let's go ahead and try to spin that up. Number one, we're going to switch our build configuration at the top from x86 to x64. So now we're going to say our package is now building 64-bit by default. And we'll do just the same thing for our class library to be consistent. And we're going to do the same thing for our native DLL right there. Okay.
All right.
All right. So now when we build this, we're going to do a quick test. We're going to do a rebuild. Hopefully it will clean everything out. And I want to look, here's the x64 native DLL. And notice our belt test package is building debug x64. Wait for it. And now we're in the x64 directory and belt test package. Is that it? Is that all we need to do? Well, let's go find out. We'll bring our sandbox back. I guess I didn't need to close the sandbox. Whatever. It's coming up fast enough, right?
Yep.
Am I tempting fate knowing that it tripped up on me? Be good, sandbox. I really love you. All right, here we go. Okay, boom. All right, where's our install directory? I really am about ready to get where that service is. Bin x64, that's what we're installing now. The x86 directory is left over from our last build. And here's our 64-bit belt test package. Zoom. Accept the terms, install. Boom, finish, done. All right. Where's our stuff, David?
Not there.
Not there. Where is it? It's in 64-bit program files folder. Right? We installed to a 64-bit location. How did WiX do that for us automatically? Well, we go look at our folders, and we're like, oh, remember we used the magical program files 6432 folder? That switches based off of which architecture we're building for.
Right.
Right? Cool?
Cool.
Sneaky. I like that one. All right, cool. So that solved that problem. Our stuff is here, and if we launch console app 1, it could not find service to text. Well, something is wrong about the service running. We'll debug that later. For now, I just want to kind of get the files installed in the correct locations with the BindPaths. All right.
All right.
Okay. So this makes sense. We're now a 64-bit package. Now, how do we include the native DLL for 32-bit? Right. Now we need 2. How are we going to do that? All right. Let's shut this down. Go back here. First thing we're going to do is we're going to add a standard directory for program files 32 folder. This will always be the 32-bit folder, and we're going to recreate our directory tree inside it. We're not going to call it install folder. We're going to call it install 32 folder. Okay.
All right.
So now we have our 32-bit. This will always install into program files folder. Finish for me. Program files. Oh, just program files folder. Wow, it's been so long since I've done that. You just say program files folder. That's the 32-bit one. I've used this new syntax for so long, I've forgotten the old name. All right. So then we can use the install 32 folder. All right. So what we have is stuff going into our 64-bit, and you know, let's not switch this one anymore. That'll be our 64-bit one, and this will be our 32-bit one. Okay.
All right.
All right. So there we go. Our content going there. Now let's go back to our native DLL component, and now we need to get both the 64-bit and the 32-bit guy. All right. So one goes install folder. I'm going to bring the directory down here now because I can. And I'm going to create another component here called install 32 folder. And I want not the same native DLL. I need the 32-bit DLL. Right?
Right.
So how do I get that? Well, let's go back to our command prompt over here. And where did it put it? Debug? Yes. Debug. There's native DLL. And then in x64, debug, there's native DLL. All right. So you see native DLL here is 5932, and the 32-bit one is a little bit smaller.
All right.
Okay. All right. Hopefully that makes sense. Okay. So do we want to do this the manual way, David, or do we want to try to use the super cool WiX 4 feature and see if it works?
Let's use WiX 4 and see if it works.
All right. Let's see if it works. Okay. There is a super cool feature. We're going a little bit more advanced here, but it should work. But I didn't try it before the show because I had other things I wanted to make sure were working. Normally, you'd have to, outside Visual Studio, we need to pass the platform to build this. So we have to say, you have to basically say, build this native DLL project, both for 32-bit and for 64-bit. And the WiX project has a special way of doing that where you can specify platforms equals, and then you can put the platforms you want. I don't know why VC++, the C++ team called it Win32. It's like a long time ago. So x86 is called Win32 and x64 is called x64. Why to do that? I don't know. But this is special WiX magic here that we're saying on this project reference, go build this project twice. One for Win32 and one for 64-bit.
Okay.
All right. This does not work in standard MS build. This is a feature of WiX. Bob's saying, don't taunt the demo gods. Too late. I'm already all the way in. Let's go ahead and I'm going to delete directories just to make sure we get things nice and clean here. Okay.
All right.
And OBJ. All right. So we've deleted. All right. We're all clean here. Let's go and close it up and let's try to build. Let's see what happens. If this works, we will see 2 builds of native DLL. Look at that. You see 2 builds of native DLL. One going into the debug, which is the 32-bit, and one going into the 64-bit location. There we go. We have 2 native DLLs. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Pretty cool. All right. And we got an error. Look at this. The 64-bit component uses a 32-bit directory. That's right. By default, all of our, because we switched to being a 64-bit package, we're now, all of our components are 64-bit. Is this a 64-bit component? No, it's not. So we want to say always 32-bit. All right. So we're basically saying the bitness on this component always 32-bit, please. Okay. So we're forcing it to be 32-bit. And if I do another rebuild, hopefully that makes it happy. Because you can contain x86 and x64 code inside one installation package. Yeah, Martin says backwards compatibility for Win32. He is absolutely correct. Win32, that word Win32 in the project is for backwards compatibility. And the V6 guys should really break that backwards compatibility. That's my vote. It's terrible. Anyway, so Win32, everything's built. All this looks good. Did it work? Should we try installing real quick?
Yep.
It's pretty magical, huh? Right? This before, I'm hoping people that have had to do this before with WiX 3 might look at it and go, wait, I had to do a lot of work to get all these projects building and getting all the files referenced and everything, and it all just works. It just built everything for me. It built both projects and it brought them both in. And when I go bin x64, we only have that directory because I cleaned it all out. enus, our built test package. This is our x86 directory. Let's see if we get something in it this time. Oh yes, UI, thank you, install. No elevation prompt. There it is, look at that, built test. And what's gonna be inside this folder? The 32-bit folder. One file, native DLL.
Oh, right.
Right? And if we go look at our other one, program files, deployment dojo, native DLL, one. It's there with all of our other files. Okay?
Okay.
Perfect. Yay, cheers, we're done, right?
Right.
There's a problem. If you look at the size of this guy, that's gonna be really small, I know. It's 58K. And if we look at the program files the x86 one, and we look at it, we do properties, it is 58K. Is that right? That's not what we saw before, was it? When I looked in the command line?
Right.
When I looked here, ls debug, please. That's supposed to be 38. Something around 38, 36, whatever. That's bytes, it'll be me and K. Which means that we probably got 64 debug. We got the 64-bit in the 32-bit location.
Ooh.
Bad, right? That's wrong. That's definitely wrong. That's wrong. Kill Samba. Why is that? Well, because we're looking in this, we're just getting the same file. And it's going to look in our BindPaths, and it's going to find it in the first BindPath it comes across, and just uses that one. And guess which BindPath is finding first?
Oh, right. The 64.
The 64-bit. So, what do? Well, it turns out the Windows installer, or the WiX Toolset, gives us named BindPaths for these guys. And when you have platform in them, it includes the platform. So the easiest way to see that is to run it from the command line, okay? Or to get a bin log. They're also documented, but I like using this because then you can see the commands. We've done this before, right? Where we run the command, then we see the command that's actually passed to wix.exe. It's in here if we were to like dig through it, but let's bring it up because I think the other editor's better. Whatever. We'll come back and look whatever those things were about. They didn't show up last time. Let's go into Wix. I want wix.exe. Where's my wix.exe command, please? Is this it? I think this is it. There we go. I thought this was easier to read. Yeah, it's bigger anyway. Well, maybe it's not easier to read. I was hoping. Maybe I just grabbed this out of... Let's put it back in VS Code, because VS Code, well, then I could put new lines in it. I thought that was going to be easier to read than it was in the end. All right. Let me just create myself a blank file. We'll throw it in here. And I want to go to BindPath. All right. Now, for every BindPath, please bump them to the screen so we can see them. Why is it not? See how many we have here? And this is the work of the MS build doing all the work for us, all right? Of generating all these paths. Okay, So here's all the BindPaths that we get. There's the legal one that we put in our project by hand, if you remember.
Right.
And look, there's class library. And look, it gets not only added to the default one, the unnamed directory, but it also gets a named one. So this, you can either refer to it with no BindPath name or with the name class 1 library, and it will pull it from this directory. Perfect.
All right.
Here's, again, the default for console app 1. This is why us not putting a path on anything works, because all of them are added to unnamed, but then they're also given a name. WinForms app, WinService1. And then look here, here's native DLL, but it's also given a .win32. It added the platform onto the end. And here's native DLL for x64. So our fix, hopefully, is obvious. This is BindPath native DLL1.x64.
Yeah.
Copy that. Drop that there. Win32. Right?
Yep.
Got those names right? Oh. Got the names right. Yes. That. Yep. I think those are all right. Okay. Rebuild. Could not do an incremental link. Okay, that's fine. C++, don't do an incremental link. We'll wait. It's fine. Honestly, it's not what we're waiting for. We're again waiting for validation. All right, deployment dojo. Go into the sandbox. Then we're gonna do an install and get to the end. Come on. There we go. Boom. Bin. Oh, no, not debug. I want the x64 one. There we go. ENUS. There's my build test package. There is 64-bit. Or sorry, that's 32-bit, not 64-bit. The x86 one is 32-bit, 64-bit. Let's do an install. And hopefully our directories show up like we expect. Do an install. Accept install. I forgot to. All right, look, we got a deployment dojo in both folders, just like we did last time.
Yep.
In here, the size is 58K, 64-bit package, good. And in here, 38K, and we have the 30-bit thing. Boom. Okay. So if you remember, you asked me, why would you need named BindPaths? And this is one of the most powerful and logical reasons to have one when you want to include 32-bit content and 64-bit content. It's pretty rare, but it happens. It happens in advanced scenarios. And this is like the quintessential example. And we got to show off WiX generating all these BindPaths for us with names. Hopefully that makes sense. Let's go ahead and bring it up. I think, let's close this code and bring up code again. Oh, and I need to save in Visual Studio because sometimes Visual Studio forgets to. Actually, I'm going to close the solution. All right. We're checking in. Okay. Off sparring. All right. While I check in, David, and I'm going to use VS Code just so we can look at things as we go by. Questions. Chat's been really quiet this time. I'm hoping because they're all sitting here thinking, wow, this is all kind of new. I haven't seen this before. I'm trying to digest exactly how I could use this in my own work. At least that's what I hope they're thinking. This is like the advanced end of BindPaths and what you can do to really simplify the way that you find your files with WiX Toolset. All right, so the built test solution, right? We have changed ourselves to x64. We're going to keep that change. Okay, yep. So our solution is basically saying, hey, you know you're building these things at 64-bit now? That's right, I am. Built test package. I'm going to keep only this line, please. Can we just stage one line now? Stage selected ranges. Oh, perfect. Because I want to keep these. I like these white spaces. Okay. Folders. We became very explicit about our 32-bit and 64-bit folders. Right?
Yep.
So we'll keep that for sure. We have our native that bring in both 32-bit and 64-bit. There's that. And then we change package. Why? We now refer to the native DLL. All right. So this file pulls in, these two things and the BindPaths here, and make sure that we get the right paths or the right files from the appropriate BindPaths.
Right.
Cool. Questions?
Not that I could really think of. Some of this might be better if I would have had experience in WiX 3. Like everything was very named path, I guess. I mean,
yeah, like me doing this in WiX 3 would have been a whole lot more typing. I would have had to manually create all those bind paths myself, all those kind of things. Yeah, it's not nearly as fast to do it. I mean, we did all of that in basically 30 minutes. Yeah, about 5-minute intro talking about it, plus the little detour to go to show that bind paths do operate in order. Yeah, like 30 minutes and we're basically done in native DLL in both 32-bit and 32-bit and 64-bit. There, that's 30-bit, 64-bit. That's what we did. Cool. Isn't there something related around the directory tree table splitting the destination tree from the source tree? I mean, there is, but we're incorporating everything into a cabinet, so I'm not sure what you're thinking there, Martin. All right, I think I might need more words to know what you're looking for there. I'm gonna put these back. If I put these blank lines back, does this file go away? There's no change here. Oh, it's probably the white space. Anyway, all right, cool. Let's go ahead and we've made that change. And then I will get status, get diff. What is it? Showing me that, oh, I added a white space. That's what it's complaining about. Did I put a space at the top? No. Oh, it's working tree built test package. I don't know what it thinks I added a space in front of one of these things. All right, whatever. Not worry about that diff. Let's go ahead and push this up to GitHub and we'll finish up for the day. All right, so that's bind paths. I wanted to get all the way to the deep end of bind paths here,
okay,
so that we could see. This is a pretty, I mean, this is advanced, right? Like there's no, this is the advanced scenario, but I want you to see bind paths from the simple, the easy, the convenient, all the way to the really powerful, easy, and convenient, but much more complicated scenarios when you're trying to pull 32-bit and 64-bit into the same package.
Right.
All right, let me double check this on GitHub. These changes look correct.
Yeah.
Let's see.
And remember, we had a problem with the service before we, so.
Yeah, we don't have time to fix that. You know what? Let's do that. Let's do that next week.
All right.
Let's do that. And also, was it Mr. S? Was that what it was, David? Mr. S, I think it was asked about merge modules, and then David asked about merge modules. So you know what? I think we're going to drop an episode or two or something about merge modules, and we'll just talk about them and why I don't recommend using them except for very narrow scenarios. So Mr. S, if you're still hanging out, I don't know if you're here today. Martin, Bob, Bert, welcome again. Great to have you guys chatting here. Martin's coming up with all these things going on here that I'll try to touch here in a second. But Mr. S, come back next episode or the episode after that, depending on how long it takes us to debug this. And we'll talk about merge modules. That's a good idea, David. All right. I have a change here that I don't understand. Belt test package WiX proj. Like, why is that line changed? It's not showing me the white space difference. Like, really confused. Can it show me white space? I'm just like futzing around here, seeing if we have anything. View. I want to see white space. View as tree. No, I don't want any of those. I want, show me the, all right, this is not, show me, oh, that's a good point. Maybe there's a bomb on there. Yeah, okay, let's see. Notepad, and we'll do this one. Belt test package, belt test package WiX proj. UTF-8 with signature. I think that's right. Let's do, say, line encoding. Just UTF-8 without signature. Yep. Good call, Martin. There we go. Now we don't have that change. Okay, that's really strange that why it got upset about that. Okay, cool. Cool. There's all our changes, and we're done with episode 46. Create the pull request, and then if it goes through, we will enable the auto merge to let it go ahead and go through. All right, David.
Cool.
Good. I think that was pretty good. That was a pretty advanced topic in a short amount of time. I'm pretty happy with that.
Right.
One of those you may have to go back and watch again after going through it because things worked for me at the time. So many of these advanced concepts, I hit something and then it just blows up on me. But this time things basically worked exactly like I wanted them to, including adding this reference here at the platforms Win32x64. That is a very advanced feature that is super powerful that only WiX has, that I wish all project systems had, because it's super cool. We'll touch on that, I'm sure, more, because there's more you can do with that kind of thing there.
Okay.
But all right, I think we're done. Fantastic. David, thank you for joining me. Chat, thank you for joining me. All of you that have been signing up and following along, thank you for joining us. I hope you guys are having fun. If you have other topics you want to talk about, go ahead and start dropping them in the comments. We're going to take a quick side quest and do merge modules after we make sure that this actually fixes it. I think the dev team may scream at us that we broke something, David. We did not do thorough testing today, but I want you guys to get the code so you can see it. We'll go back, we'll double check, see if we get any bugs next week to fix, and then we'll do a quick side quest on merge modules, and then we'll see what's up after that. I have ideas. All right, we'll be back next week. We'll do all this stuff for fun, and Martin, I'll look in some of what you're thinking, and we'll talk about it later. All right, you guys keep coding. You know I am. Bye.
That's it.